Okay, this is a consensual recording with Mystic Gwen due to the instructions of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Be advised, I'm not an employee of the FBI, but I've been authorized to state I am an informant since the last week of June 2024. This recording, should it end for any reason whatsoever, without me explicitly telling you the end time, and that a new live stream is commencing in 90 seconds or less, be advised that I didn't end it, and the domestic terrorist of Unit 207, i.e. the North Everett Precinct, some members of the Snohomish County Prosecutor's Office, the dwindling Department of Child Abusers and Stalkers, my multiple times convicted stalker and abuser, Anne Marie Bauer, and Erica Owens, the extortionist, et al., are the ones that are responsible. Some of them have been actively and criminally attempting to shift blame from one to the other, but it is the North Everett Precinct that is the ones that are the domestic terrorist organization, as well as the prosecutors and the DCYF. Now, they are actively, apparently, according to the Lenovo ThinkPad, they believe they're going to be done with their domestic terrorism via this specific notification about one of their numerous ways that they've been able to destroy thousands of dollars in devices and whatnot from me, is with the use of these fraudulent Google certificates that they've been utilizing to obstruct justice, to prevent me from corresponding with the FBI, to block me from sending the FBI offline recordings. None of that is part of any sort of legitimate law enforcement operation. Neither is abusing disabled children for 13 months, kidnapping them, using them to perpetrate felonies on your behalf. These things, no law enforcement operation in the whole wide United States and domestic territories would ever say was lawful or legitimate. Now, they've been telling people, namely all of the various authorities who had a liability to enforce the law, that it was part of a legal operation. It was not part of a legal operation, not a legit and lawful one. Since March 2023, it was an aggravated criminal conspiracy, a criminal enterprise. On August 6, 2024 at 11:55 p.m. PST, they and all of their co-conspirators became a domestic terrorist organization. The Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Seattle Federal Marshals will verify this for you, unless you are one of them and going to prison for a long, long time, starting in March, subject to change upon officers' actions, and guaranteed to be a reality in April. The FBI has told me everyone that's been tormenting me and torturing me and perpetrating 250 plus separate crimes against me will absolutely be in jail in April. How fitting. April Fool's Month. Now, there's a series of recordings that I'll play. Just note that little certificate, though. It's an important thing to put on the record because it's one of the many ways this domestic terrorist organization has been able to expand their network of domestic terrorists and corrupt various institutions. Something that the females and males involved with are really proud of. But I assure you, they won't be at their arraignment, then they'll be trying to blame one another. Now, again, there is a series of recordings that we need to go over. And I did file another police report at 8 a.m. And I did indeed send and serve that to all appropriate people. Whether they received it or not, my hostage holders, the domestic terrorist organization that's been terrorizing me for 2 years as of next month, who I've had to watch abuse my sons directly and with their co-conspirators for 13 months, and then be victim of them kidnapping those children, and then watch them steal money from me every single month since April 4th, 2023. To name some of the things. Those of you that have only been around since September 2023, the women that you look to as authorities and guiding lights upstairs, Those women are the ones that I and the FBI are looking forward to seeing behind bars. Permanently. So again, if this live stream ends for any reason without me orally and explicitly saying the end time, I didn't end it. The domestic terrorist upstairs did. Now I am going to set this video to public, and then I'm going to attempt to play a series of recordings, but the domestic terrorist upstairs are already actively trying to terminate this, and or they've already successfully made it so that no one can view it outside of my hostage holders who haven't yet been detained because they're perpetrating more and more acts of domestic terrorism every day. As recently as this very moment, while you starve me, continue to keep my kids kidnapped who you've been abusing for 13 months via your complicity, your action, and your directions. While you're starving me, literally, as they've been doing since November 23rd. Etc. You are scum. You are pathetic. I hope all of you men become impotent. I hope your children die before they reach gestational age. I hope you miscarry and bleed out on the floor before you ever rear a child, you women up there. And if you have children, I hope they hate you with the passion that makes them avoid even your funeral. These aren't officers. These are child abusing stalker thieves who've been paid by this city to be enemies of the city, the state, the county, the United States of America, and women and disabled children who have ever had to endure them. These are professional domestic terrorists. Nothing more. Worthy of no respect. Now, I'll play those recordings that we need to play as soon as I'm able to get the Lenovo ThinkPad to do so. And first, I need to start an offline recording on here. It's 10:33 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is going to serve as my offline recording on the Lenovo ThinkPad due to the domestic terrorists in the unit above me who have been torturing me for 2 years next month. Vile, disgusting, reprehensible. Felons, federal felons, who have never once been part of a legitimate or lawful operation, and since March 2023 began as an aggravated criminal conspiracy and enterprise, and then because of their criminality became in August 2024 a very efficient domestic terrorist organization and a, quote, real threat to the judiciary, end quote. You may be wondering, who's that a quote from? That's a quote directly from the Seattle Federal Marshals, who, again, are the only ones involved in the enforcement community that would like for you guys to break in again. Okay, so the information that we need to go over, I'm just going to push the live stream that preceded this one. There is a new police report, a new addendum as well. Here's the live stream that preceded this one. The introduction, pretty much the same as everything I just went over. Monday, February 17th, 2025, 4:44 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The federal felons upstairs appear to have in some way affected the visibility of these live streams, concurrent with all of their other crimes and active attempts repeatedly over 100 times since the 11th to obstruct, tamper, intimidate, retaliate, and perpetrate acts of domestic terrorism, which apply to each and every count of this live stream being affected as far as visibility goes, as far as their erasure of footage, as far as their attempts to actively disable every camera and recording device in my home, concurrent with that, even for offline recordings for their domestic terrorist organization, and their willingness to follow unlawful directives from the very people who they've been listening to, which is why some of them are going to prison for the rest of their lives. So it is Monday. It is 4:45 a.m. It's February 17th, and it is very likely no one is actually going to be able to watch this video or any of the preceding ones other than the very individuals going to prison. And then, of course, those that are going to be handcuffing you to bring you to that federal penitentiary after your sentencing, after you've been given your indictment at your arraignment, and after you've been arrested, which unfortunately you already know won't be until next month. Now, that being said, if this live stream ends for any reason without me orally telling you the end time, I didn't end it. The domestic terrorist upstairs did, but more likely the pausing there. Just a reminder, I realize there are whistleblowers upstairs. Okay? I'm fully aware. When I'm saying the shit I'm saying, I don't want to have to say, I'm not talking to you. You know that I'm not talking to you, okay? Those of you who I'm talking to, you know I am talking to you. And anyone that's watching this that's like, oh my gosh, she's so mean, then you need to rewind it and play it from the beginning. I'm not mean. I'm probably the kindest, most forgiving human being you will ever meet. I am rational. Likely than not, they'll corrupt this file. They've probably likely stopped making it available for viewing in any way, shape, or form. You get an email from YouTube every time your live stream begins. That hasn't happened except for a very small handful of the videos they actively and criminally terminated over and over and over again. And then hours and days later, getting retroactive emails from Google, which are clearly fraudulent, something that the North Everett Precinct telling everybody they're part of an operation which has never, not in 2 years, been a legitimate operation, and has instead been entirely an aggravated criminal conspiracy, and then later a domestic terrorist organization. Now, their crime spree and their desperation hinge primarily on the next week or so. Well, the next weeks as far as they're concerned. And the emails that I'm getting are emails telling me that 3 days ago a live stream went up. It was now live. These are things that doesn't occur except for when this domestic terrorist organization is perpetrating acts of domestic terrorism. That's the only time these things occur, which is all you've been doing, especially the dirty cunt upstairs that's been doing it since March 2023. Oh yes, and abusing my sons and kidnapping and everything else you've done. These people owe me billions of dollars at this point. They're going to prison. They have no job. Since August, they've been committing criminal acts that have all constituted as acts of domestic terrorism as recently as this very live stream. And this one that superseded the recording you're listening to. These are not officers. These were never officers. So I'll play a bit of a previous recording, which would be important if anybody could watch it that wasn't going to prison. Amen. But since you're all going to prison for the rest of your lives and perpetrating domestic terrorism right now at 4:48 a.m. in the morning this Monday, February 17th, like the FBI has consistently said, you're actually all just requesting to go to prison. And unfortunately, I gave the FBI consent to allow you guys to be as awful as you wanted to be until like February 23rd. And then I inadvertently gave them consent earlier this month so that they now have until April. That hasn't negated the fact they plan on putting all of your asses in jail next month or substantially sooner. Now, if it's next month, it'll be after the 10th, or again, based on your criminal conduct within your domestic terrorism organization, substantially sooner. All right, good. Yesterday, one of thousands. I'm playing a preceding live stream, which you probably can't view because of the domestic terrorist organization upstairs. Relationship with who I was friends with before he was ever my lawyer. And it'll go over all the things you need to know before you're all arraigned, indicted, and put in prison, which is where you absolutely deserve to create that non-existent verified. You know, the one that was reported about in the August 14th court claim, where all the remaining felonies that they were helping to perpetrate were also recorded. You think the haggard woman you've been listening to, every one of those named individuals, is going to save your asses, and that you need to appease her, and you're so wrong. Each and every one of you following her instructions and affecting the visibility of this recording and all of the activity since the 11th. All of them except for one individual. All you've been doing is perpetrating domestic. They're all part of it. Part of the reason why the FBI has full jurisdictional authority. So that she can point the finger at you guys and say, you did it, not her. I'm going to go over that for the non-existent operation. And some of you are going to be convicted for getting paychecks for 2 years to be enemies of the state, the city, the county, the United States of America. On the 13th. This is from the live stream on my channel that is titled 2-13 4 something a.m. in the morning. I'm going to the YouTube channel. Let it be known throughout the North Everett Precinct. Let it be known. County prosecutor's office. Miss 80 plus years was upstairs at 3:39 a.m. That's a weird thing. It's 5:24 a.m. And I can tell you that one of them, his reports consistently point out how absurd and disgusting those of you are who pretend.
Dude, I know real officers who would love to get their hands on some of you. And I mean that literally.
Or to put it another way, right before you're booked, don't jihad upstairs, okay?
Yeah, true, true. Jihad in your car far away.
Breaking and entering of my residence. The first incident occurred on January 29th, 2025, and involved the exploitation of my professionals, all right. Professional domestic terrorist.
Yep.
Private property to do so, peering into my windows, numbering at least 38 separate instances. The current plans currently involve utilization of co-conspirators, including but not limited to Erica and John Owens and/or Anne Marie Bauer. Child abuse and exploitation. The continued involvement of and planned use of my disabled sons in these criminal activities constitutes aggravated child abuse and endangerment. These actions are a direct result of a year-long campaign of targeted abuse designed to exploit their disabilities and cause regression and escalation, which has been perpetrated by these individuals and their co-conspirators as outlined in the incorporated documents. They instructed and their named co-conspirators, Erica Owens and Richard Garcia, perpetrate abuses upon my sons on a weekly basis. Planned, quote, defenses, end quote, and obstruction. The planned defenses of this criminal enterprise, as articulated in the tort claim filed on August 14, 2024, in case number 10-500-5934, and incorporated herein, are demonstrably fraudulent and constitute further acts of obstruction of justice. These defenses were conceived prior to many of the overt acts of this conspiracy, and are now being pursued in a desperate and illegal attempt to retroactively justify their criminal conduct. They are attempting to make me cooperate with some form of prosecution by a coercion of Erica Owens. Their stated motives to the FBI and others continue to be self-serving, protecting their careers, reputations, and income has always been of primary concern to them. Coordinated, aggravated conspiracy. The entirety of their actions, as detailed, form the basis of a coordinated and aggravated conspiracy to deprive myself and my sons of our civil rights and liberties. 3. Conclusion. The information presented in this addendum, taken in conjunction with the original formal judicial notice of February 4th, 2025, and all previously incorporated documents, paints a damning picture of escalating criminal conduct. The individuals associated with the North Everett Precinct, Unit 207, and their expanding network of co-conspirators demonstrate not only a blatant disregard for the law, but a stubborn commitment to their failing.
A stubborn commitment to their failing domestic terrorist organization. Just remember, why have you not been arrested yet? Because you still have plans to further incriminate yourselves and others, and the FBI is making a final list and checking balances to determine who will indeed be going to prison for the rest of their lives. And also because of those they're excited to federally disbar, their desperation over the course of the next few weeks, and seeing who amongst you willingly go and symbolically jihad yourselves again for her and him.
For themselves. The recent actions, including the continued plotting, the frantic communications, and the blatant attempts to interfere with this ongoing investigation are not signs of strength. They are signs of desperation. The quote, cycle of subterfuge, end quote, as previously noted by the FBI, continues, but it is the cycle that is rapidly spiraling towards its inevitable conclusion. Full accountability under the law.
You can count on that.
Penalty of perjury that all of you aforementioned is true and correct. Sincerely, Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Miss Gwen.
And then remember, guys, it's a whole separate crime just to tell a single lie to an FBI agent. And some of you, the FBI has multiple lies you told to them.
Stay tuned for the fourth like this.
Like Mrs. 80 plus years, she has contacted the FBI directly.
And light. Yes, the original filing, formal judicial notice, aggravated and ongoing criminal conspiracy, obstruction of justice, evidence tampering, child abuse, child endangerment, stalking, harassment, extortion, fraud, civil rights violations, and retaliation against FBI informant by North Everett Precinct, Unit 207, and associated individuals, mandatory filing pursuant to ADA and any/all cases. With my legal name, Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Miss Gwen. Date of original filing, February 4th, 2025, 10:08 a.m. Prior addendum, February 6th, 2025, 7 a.m. PST.
to Snohomish County Superior Court, North Everett Precinct, Snohomish County Sheriff's Office, Snohomish County Prosecutors, and to all and forwarded to FBI from Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Red. Subject: supplemental information regarding further criminal activities, escalation of threats, and incurred penalties, February 7th, 2025. This document serves as a third addendum to the formal judicial notice filed on February 4th, 2025 at 10:08 a.m. and supplemented on February 6th, 2025. It provides further information regarding the subsequent events in the continued escalating criminal conspiracy perpetrated by individuals associated with the North Everett Precinct, Unit 207 at 2120 Highland Ave, Everett, Washington, and their co-conspirators. 1. Incorporation of prior filings. All facts, invoices, statements, and incorporated documents referenced in the original formal judicial notice, February 4th, 2025, and the addendum of February 6th, 2025, and all police reports filed are hereby incorporated by reference as is fully set forth herein. 2. Supplemental information, subsequent events. The following events have transpired subsequent to the filing of the aforementioned addenda, further demonstrating the ongoing criminal conspiracy, the imminent threat posed by the perpetrators, their continued obstruction of justice, and the accrual of additional financial penalties. A. February 7th, 2025, 12:50 p.m. PST. Individuals associated with Unit 207 engaged in aggravated stalking, harassment, and criminal trespass by repeatedly and forcefully knocking on my front door. This occurred in the afternoon and was clearly intended to intimidate,